Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and a packed nerd news edition of My Mom's Basement. As packed a week of nerd news as I could remember. It is Robbie, Fox, and Clem here to break it down for everybody in our last episode before Daredevil Born Again hits. Clem, how we doing?
Doing good, Bob. Nice, dense episode coming up your way. A lot of stuff compacted. And like you said, I feel like the content dam is about to break for us, starting with Daredevil. We do have some Invincible stuff, like you mentioned. And then I think we're going to start rolling at some point with all the other different projects that are coming. Andor, Last of Us, obviously Daredevil, the movies. So let's rock, baby. I feel like the frigid, the winter of content is thawing now, and we're about to have a thaw.
And I got breaking news. I'm no Ponzatucky Phil, but I walked outside the other day and I went, I smell spring. I just got a little whiff of spring, and I was like, I think it's here. I think it's coming. You know, we don't have to wait too much longer.
So it sounds like Bob got a whiff of the cum trees. Bob smelled cum trees. I think we have our hashtag for the episode. We're gonna let you guys know. Hashtag cum trees is the.
We couldn't even make it 60 seconds into the episode without dropping a cum. The YouTube algorithm is probably yelling at us right now. So funny. Let's tell everyone about the basement keeping before we get into the nerd news. As I've been reminding everyone, Marvel Rival streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. The last stream was good. We got off to a win right away. It did good numbers-wise. I was very happy with it. Been playing with the chat as well. That's been fun. I've been liking the new characters. So tune in. We also did a Pico Park stream on Wednesday. Pico Park, this little, I think it was a Switch game that's now on all consoles and stuff. You play as these little pixel character guys and you try to help each other out. You're all a team. It was me, Meek Phil, KFC, and Jackie. And it was chaos, but I thought it was pretty funny. So go check that out if you missed it.
When I saw that crew together, I was like, hell yes, I'm in for whatever this is. I didn't even know the game you guys were playing. I was like,
it's fun. You would like it, I think. It's so simple. It's left, right, jump. Those are the controls. And I'm sure it gets more complicated as you go along, but all the levels are just like little puzzles where you have to work together, and it's like frustrating. It's one of those games people recommend you don't play with your significant other. They're like, this will cause arguments.
Yep, this will break up relationships, essentially.
I mentioned Daredevil Born Again. That hits Disney Plus on Tuesday. And if you're like, damn, I never watched the original series, or I didn't see some of the other things Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock appeared in, I've got you covered. Just like I did for Captain America Brave New World, I made a video. I'm still kind of in the editing process of it. Everything you need to know before Daredevil Born Again. So it's not, I talked to you about this, Clem. It's not a complete recap of everything that ever happened in the Daredevil series and everything that's ever happened to Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, but it's pretty much everything I think would be beneficial to know going into Born Again. I think the video is going to be around 16, 17 minutes, so you could recap 3 seasons worth of Daredevil, The Defenders, Punisher, Echo, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, She-Hulk. There's a lot, and it took a lot of work. I wrote the script. It's like 3,600 words that I had to read for the video, then edited the whole thing. So please, 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 when that hits the channel at 3 p.m. today, go check that out. Give it a thumbs up.
That's all we're asking. This is Bob's. This is, I think, your most important one you'll ever do, because I think there's a lot of movie ones. Like you're going to do one for Fantastic Four. You just did one for Captain America. This is, I feel like, the one that's going to have the most people who, especially if it's as good as the reviews say, people are going to be into it, and they'll be like, oh man, I'm going in. This thing's already started baking in the oven. So they need to go back.
The hype from just the reviews this week has gone up. Like, feels like it skyrocketed. Like if you look at the analytics, it's like, oh, whoop. Because every review is like, oh my God, it's as good, if not better than the original show. It's as violent. It's amazing. They sent out the full season worth of screeners to people, which is always a good sign when they're like, yeah, take the whole fucking thing. Like they're laying it all out on the line. So I'm really excited for Daredevil Born Again. And I finished the original series, of course, to make this video, and just finishing the series made me so excited because it's cinema, Clem. It's as good as people say it is. It's fucking amazing. Like season 2 gets a little weird with, like, I don't want to say generic superhero stuff, but it's like, oh, the hand is draining the life force out of kids and they turn into zombies, and it gets a little supernatural. Resurrections are happening. Season 3 goes right back down to grounded level. Bullseye's dressing up as Daredevil, framing him for murders. I told you, Daredevil only wears the Daredevil suit in season 2 of his show. That was one of the most mind-blowing things to me. He wears the homemade suit in season 1 and season 3. And my recap, I know it's not like the most well-edited recap on YouTube. There's plenty of channels with amazing editors that do a better job. I'm going for the common man recap, though. I'm going for a recap, not necessarily for the masses, but specifically for the stoolies, like for the Barstool fan who, I have friends that will, or cousins even, that will text me about, hey, is this show worth watching? Hey, is this show worth watching? And I'm not the kind of guy where I'm like, yes, you have to watch everything and lock in. I'm like, you could probably skip that one. This is for the people that I said that to about She-Hulk or Echo or any of those shows. You know what I'm saying?
It's very much, and I think thanks to technology, you don't need to watch the show. I'd watch the YouTube breakdown of it.
Yeah.
Bob gives you the YouTube breakdown, and it's not too nerdy. It's not too long. Some of these, again, I was looking for recaps myself. I wish Bob's had come out earlier so we didn't watch all these other ones because, again, some of that stuff is a little too nerdy. They give the old YouTube voice where they talk like this. Don't like that. I have to hear that in my kids' YouTube. Bob's doing it for the common man, and we got to keep these things rolling, baby, because we got plenty of other stuff coming along down the line here. Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and more.
Yeah, and the last thing I just wanted to plug was check out the dozen episodes from this past week because the Basement Boys were running wild. For the first time ever, we used each other as back-to-back phone-a-friends. And I think the funniest part about it, watching them both back, was that we both just asked the other one for reassurance on the answer. Like, we both were the first one to suggest and be like, is that right? And the other one was like, yeah, 100%, definitely go with that. So we did the same thing. It was 2 good matches, too. It was fun playing against Gruden, I assume.
Oh, Gruden's the man. That's a good team, too. I think they're going to be a problem. The only issue they have, the Grinders, that is, it's Gruden, Liam Blutman, and Malasek, is there's a blank spot. Because Gruden, anything that's after Gruden's time, but before the 2 youngins' time, like damn, Liam Blumman had no idea how old Josh
for them. Yeah.
Yes, Josh Brolin, how old he is. It's like, and then there was a couple questions like 2000s instead of 2010s, 2020s, or like 90s when Gruden was probably a little more plugged in, and desert. It's a desert there. So it was great seeing the Basement Boys again. The Basement Boys, what's in the basement? We all love each other. Listen, there's the reason you're in the basement. A little bit of confidence. We both were 100% confident in our answers, and we went to our boy, and our boy, built us up. That's what we do in the basement. We build bridges. We build each other up.
Exactly. So let's get into all of the news and fun stuff we have to talk about this week, starting with a new trailer for Andor. I actually saw a tweet like the day before this trailer dropped that was like, hey, it's 2 months to the date before Andor drops. Where's any promotional material? And it was almost as if Lucasfilm saw that and we're like, oh shit, put it out.
Right.
Like, drop the trailer. We've been sitting on this thing. Really cool trailer visually. I think everyone had a similar takeaway from it though, where we were like, ooh, interesting audio for this trailer. Interesting song they went with. It's kind of like a folk rock song. I think it's a Steve Earle song. And I know what they were going for because it's like a revolution song. It's a fight the man song. It just clashes a little strangely with Star Wars, especially like Andor Star Wars, but it looks even bigger budget than the last season. And you would expect that because they said this is like the most expensive Star Wars project ever made. After Tony Gilroy knocked it out of the park with season 1, they pretty much said, take all the money you want and just do what you want. They even say in this trailer, they're like, season 1, critics loved it. Like they say right off the bat, they're like, I swear people actually liked this show. Tune in for season 2. But it's like season 2 can't possibly be anything but better with Krennic, with Saw Gerrera back, with K2SO joining the fray, right? It has to be awesome.
This isn't one of the Star Wars shows that sucked. Nobody really complained about it, other than the first few episodes where everyone was a little unsure. That could have been on the critics'
until Cousin from the Bear joined the fray.
I think it could. I don't know about should be better. Probably should. I just want to almost doing this for myself and maybe for some people.
Yeah, temper the expectations.
Let's temper the expectations. Just in terms of this. I don't want everyone to say like, oh man, it's not going to be as good, this and that. It's like we had some pretty high, I'm not talking like some episodes for sure, but there was the moments. We had the moments. We had the speeches. We had 3 speeches that were like, oh fuck, from 3 different characters. And I'm not going to put that burden on this season because it Andor felt like we found not like $20 in the couch, we found like $1 million in the couch. Like, holy shit, this couch we were ready to throw out years ago, this Star Wars couch, and it was so fucking awesome.
We found
So
Action Comics #1 in the
yes,
couch.
exactly. Gem Mint 10, it was perfect condition and everything. And man, I just hope and the song, I think we all agree, the song was kind of weird, but hey, it's like do whatever you do, get new people into this show, and they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, let me watch season 1 before I see season 2." Someone else will probably rewatch season 1, or maybe Robbie does a video breaking down all you need to know about
Ooh,
Andor.
I could do that, yeah.
Right? And
I could
then
do that for sure.
go into 2, and hey, maybe they just hit it out of the park here. It's going to be a different show. It just has to be. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, of course they're going to have Forrest Whitaker in this. Oh yeah, of course." Like I didn't think about all the Rogue One people coming back, and it makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm as excited as I could be for a Star Wars show. I think that's a fair way to put it.
I'm very excited as well. I'm also dreading seeing the demise of Luthen Rail. I think that's going to be an absolute, like, for sure he has to die in this series because his life's work has been sacrificing everything for the rebellion. And it's that sunset that or sunrise that he'll never get to see, or he's planting seeds and the whole fucking speech. He shares his dreams with ghosts. But yeah, that does worry me. I also like the idea of trying a rock and roll song for a Star Wars trailer. There's a trailer that was released, a fan-made trailer back for Rogue One that uses Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, and it is badass. And it kind of does feel like it fits the tone of that. There's also that War Pigs video that we've posted on our Twitters a couple of times. It just like does edits of all the Star Wars stuff. Like it could work. So I appreciate them going for it and trying something different. But it was a little strange for me there. I probably would have preferred just an Andor score behind it. And the other thing that they talked about it that was interesting, it has a weird release schedule. They're doing 3 episodes a week, and every 3-episode chunk will cover a year or a chapter leading up to Rogue One. And I think this is a good idea in terms of they have so many years to cover. So I don't think they wanted to do like we're doing a time jump every 3 weeks and confuse people like House of the Dragon confused Simple Trent. But at the same time, you're asking a lot of people to watch 3 hours of television a week, I think. So I'm a little worried that it'll set themselves up for failure ratings-wise, even if the quality is amazing.
Now, from what you saw, what were the reactions like to seeing the schedule?
Very mixed, I would say. Some people think it's awesome. And like, I think diehard Star Wars fans are probably like, oh my God, we're getting 3 hours of Star Wars a week. This is awesome. I think other people are more like, oh, this is a burden to watch. Like if it's going to be 3 hours a week, how do I find the time for that? If I'm also watching Severance and Last of Us, or, whatever's on TV at the time.
God forbid you go on vacation, miss a week, then you're down your 6 episodes where you have to.
I mean, for us too, it's going to be interesting. Like we're probably going to do recaps in 3-episode chunks, I would assume. I don't think we're doing 3 episodes a week.
So, and as someone that recaps it and will watch it with like hopefully some love in their heart for the series, there are so many different ways you can go about a series where you're going to have these time jumps, and it was just kind of what they had to do with the way the story was laid out and the way that how many seasons they're going to do for the show. This feels like it might be the way to go, though, in terms of it's like you said, House of the Dragon and just all these, you don't know where you are. You have to spend a couple minutes filling the audience in with little plot hints about stuff along the way about what had happened over the years. This might help, and you're going to have people just aging up or whatever. So I'm personally cool with it. Again, I'm trying just to be like a solid like 85% in terms of hype. I'm not trying to get too hyped, but I'm also trying not to be a negative Nancy and get too down. So it's like, let's get this going. I almost just want to unwrap it right now. Like,
that's like a good level to be at. That's where I try to get at for punk shows. I always say when I'm backstage before going on stage, people are like, are you amped? And I'm like, I'm actually trying not to be amped right now. Like I'm trying to get on stage at 85% and have the crowd be awesome. Be maybe like, all right, now I'm at 100. Let's fucking go. But you don't want to be at 100 before it starts. Because then you go out, if the crowd's at 85% or if Andor's at 85%, you're at 100. It's still amazing, and it still feels like a disappointment. So you got to stay at that 85.
It's that one bite pizza review. Dave always says can't give a 10. Perfection.
And you know what else it is? I've heard Francis, I believe it's either Francis or Rowan say this, that there's a toast. I think in Japan they say like 8/10, and it means like get 8/10 full. because you don't want to be feeling gross after this meal. Don't go 9/10. Don't go 10/10. Go 8. It's almost like 8/10 on Andor, eh?
Yeah, you don't want to be full. You don't also still be hungry and snacking on junk the rest of the
Yeah.
night. Eat your meal and feed 8 tenths. I like that. I'm adopting that. I'm gonna adopt that.
I like that. When I heard one of them say it, it always stuck in my brain. I think they said it like a year ago, and I've always been like, I like that phrase. All right, so we've got some Star Wars news as well. Big news this week. It broke in the middle of the night from like a site called like Puck News or something. They were like, Kathleen Kennedy is finally stepping down and retiring as president of Lucasfilm at the end of this year. The internet explodes, as you would expect it to. There's the blogs from Jerry. She ruined my childhood. There's me and Ken Jack going back. It wasn't that bad. Don't blame her for everything. We've kind of gone through this on the podcast multiple times, I feel like. I think people know where I stand on it, where I'm like, if you want to blame her for all the bad, let's also give her credit for some of the good, the Mandalorian, Andor, stuff like that. But that's an argument for a different time, because apparently this is not the time she's stepping down. Somehow Kathleen Kennedy has returned and she said, yeah, I'm not stepping down yet. She's like, I probably will. She came out with her statement was basically like, yeah, I'm actively looking for people to take over, but I'm still going to be around when they take over. I'm going to help out. I think this was like on both sides. I think the initial story was probably half right. And I think Kathleen Kennedy's statement was very fair, where she's like, yeah, not right now, probably not at the end of 2025, but it'll happen soon.
Yeah, you just hope it's not going to be one of those. And then 2026, I mean, I saw
Yes.
there was Jim Boeheim as the Syracuse coach. And then by the end, I think they had to literally like drag him off the bench. And let's be honest, they have not improved since Jim Boeheim left. They've gotten worse. So it's not always the best thing. You know, you take out. The problem with this is when she does leave, they have then no one to blame. There's not like the emperor
I know.
that they can say.
She is the one. People love turning to Kathleen Kennedy and, acolyte, whatever it may be. You're right, though. Once you do that, who goes in charge? Is it Filoni? People are talking about Filoni. Some industry insiders are like, I think he would get killed from both sides. Like the Hollywood people would be like, you're trying to be this artsy creative guy. And the artsy creative guy would be like, you sold out. Is it going to be Kevin Feige? Could Kevin Feige move on from Marvel after Secret Wars and decide he wants to take on a new franchise? Or does he want to just ride off into the sunset, look over his happy universe like Thanos? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they always say Goodell is kind of the owner's, like he's like their shield that takes all the bullets for them. And it felt like that's what Kathleen Kennedy is for the Star Wars franchises. And if you do throw one of those beloved, like, what's his name? Filoni feels like the sacred lamb, where it's like he's our guy, and the Star Wars people will go to war for him. Huh, nice pun there, Clem.
Nice,
but I feel
it's
like
also we don't know what the job consists of. I've said that a ton too, where I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know how much you could blame her for, because I don't know what the president of Lucasfilm does day to day. Obviously, it's approving projects that have been delayed and canceled time and time again, and I blame her for that. And for that, I think she's not the right person for the job. Like for all the defense that I do for her, I don't think she's the right person for the job at this point. I think she's proved that in her tenure. But when Lucas appointed her president, I don't think it was that crazy. She's like maybe the most successful movie producer of all time, or you could call her one of the most successful movie producers of all time. It's weird now. We're now in a weird limbo era for Star Wars, where she's still developing some things, but she's apparently on her way out. She had this weird quote about the Taika Waititi Star Wars too. Did you see her quote about the Taika movie? Clem, I hated this. She said, I think if we ever do get a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic. I already saw a first act that I loved, but tying him down is tricky. What are we talking about there? Listen, I love Taika Waititi. I love a lot of his work. Jojo Rabbit, obviously, Thor Ragnarok. I'm a pretty big defender of Love and Thunder. I love the Guns N' Roses in that movie. I love what we got of gore. I love the black and white sequence. I can defend aspects of that movie. If Taika Waititi can't be tied down after you've given him a Star Wars movie, it's not like Matt Reeves where he's working on the script constantly and just can't finish it or something. You're saying you just like can't get in touch with him? Give the Star Wars movie to someone else. Star Wars shouldn't be chasing down Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi should be chasing down Star Wars. We shouldn't be forcing this movie because you saw first act that you loved. That's a quote where I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? That I feel like I can blame her for.
Can I say something here in the basement? Again, safe space.
Say
I think we're going to be on the same page. kind of sick of the Taika Waititi bullshit now. I think Love and Thunder, it's like it's over now. It's over, dude. You had your air ball. If you're not gonna chase it, get the fuck out of here, Taika. There's no Taikas. No Taikas allowed in the basement. There's a new sign.
I don't know. We can't hit the no Taikas allowed. He made Ragnarok. He did make Ragnarok. He brought Korg into the world. He's the voice of Korg.
He had that
not into the world, but into the MCU.
About he was with the two girls, right? That was like a big thing.
Tessa and Rita Ora. Yeah,
I'm not saying just Taika Waititi. I didn't say Taika Waititi's allowed.
But, listen. If he fails one more project, no Taika's allowed.
And
like one more.
How about this too? If like more Star Wars shit comes out where it's like they were begging him and he's like, no, I don't have the time.
Oh yeah.
And then they saw him
disrespecting
go in the pool. Yeah, he's disrespecting the wars. No Taika. And again, this is not Taika Waititi. No Taikas at all. So any other Taika, Taika Jones, he's not allowed either. Taika Smith, none of them. No
There's only one person in the world that us Star Wars fans let disrespect the wars, and that's Harrison Ford. We love him for it.
Or ourselves when we just
True,
get mad at everything. But Star Wars, Harrison Ford definitely has that. Kathleen Kennedy too. I don't want to come out in defense of Kathleen Kennedy because that'll get everyone mad at me. But let me just say this about Kathleen Kennedy. I don't even know again, she's the head of it all and everything under her, you kind of have to put at her feet, right? That's good, bad, and ugly. She also wasn't in charge for the prequels. And I know you motherfuckers are deciding to make these things fucking better than the original trilogy. Those things stunk. I said it on the dog walk last week when Eddie took the Phantom Menace as a 1999 movie. They stunk. You guys can have your little glow-ups and you were a kid when you watched them. Whatever. Anyone with a full-grown brain knew those movies stunk, and she wasn't in charge then. So the Star Wars have been in trouble for a very long time now. The original trilogy has done so much fucking heavy lifting for all of this entire franchise, and they were so good they could pull it off. But let's be honest, it's not like she took over, the fucking 98 Yankees and then just, drove them into the ground.
Yes, correct. And speaking of those fucking shitty prequels, it's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, and it's coming back to theaters, and I will be there no matter what. One of my favorite movie experiences I've ever had, seeing Revenge of the Sith, the Richfield Park movie theater with my cousin Kenny, my uncle Kenny, my brother. I brought a spoon for my popcorn because the spoon was a lightsaber. It came in a cereal box, and I said, I'm doing it up. I brought a spoon for Kenny. We had a little spoon lightsaber battle. It was an amazing experience. I can't wait to see it again. I had fun seeing The Phantom Menace on May the 4th last year. This year, it's on April 25th. I think it's like the official anniversary. Still wondering if they're going to attach something to it. Last time we got a little bit of the Acolyte with The Phantom Menace. I would like to have a little bit of anything with Revenge of the Sith, but I am really excited for that. And I'm still planning some special May the 4th and maybe on Star Wars streams.
So I think we did the rewatch for Revenge of the Sith, and I remember walking away going, okay, that wasn't the best of the prequels. It was the least bad of the prequels because it has some fucking
it's
awesome
the best.
Moments.
Come on.
It has some yes, of course. But I don't think saying the best of the prequels is like being the smartest person at Barstool. I think it's a very low bar. It's the most athletic person at Barstool, even better after the combine was yesterday, right? You see all of us idiots running and lifting and jumping, and you're like, oh, I don't even care who won it. It's the fucking lowlights that everyone remembers. That's what I'll say about this. However, there are the moments, and we all know
some
the
bad
fucking
moments
that no, the great moments I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about no.
Everything, basically from the time he flips to the time, that happens. Awesome. We're just going.
And on the big screen, like, say what you will about that movie, the CG is really fucking good in that movie. The opening sequence with the fucking war drums and they're coming over in space. That's like what I put on if you get a new TV. It's like, oh, that's a good thing to
test
your
tester?
TV, the sound system, all of it. It's like perfect for that. So seeing that on the big screen for the first time, I might go back to Richfield Park, see it in the theater that I saw it in 2005. That's the theater I worked in too. Maybe my fucking AMC thing will be hanging in the rafters. It should be after the amount of $1 hot dogs I sold.
This is a long shot, but I'm going to give you a chance here, Bob. Do you still have the spoon?
No, I don't think I still have the spoon. But I could like totally picture the spoon. It was a hilt, and then it was a clear plastic spoon that came off, so it was washable. You could put it back on the hilt, and then you could press the button. Maybe I'll order it on eBay before Revenge of the Sith.
With you, you're just enough of a sicko. I thought you might have still had this spoon, and you were gonna like pull it out of your drawer and be like, "I use this every Saturday morning." So that's my Bob
So
Fox whimsical kid joy sound voice.
I also want feedback from the listeners here because I think I'm going to replay. They made Revenge of the Sith the video game, which just about the movie. I think it actually released like a couple days before the movie, if I'm correct about that, which is fucking crazy because it includes clips from the movie, like the ending. Like spoilers weren't as big a culture in '05 at all. But I think I'm going to replay that. I'll like maybe try to beat it in one sitting on stream the week that Revenge of the Sith re-releases. And then for May the 4th, I want to know, would people rather see me try to like start to finish beat maybe Lego Star Wars, something like that, or just do a huge like 12-hour stream, 10-hour stream where I hop around and play a little bit of Battlefront 2, a little bit of Revenge of the Sith, a little bit of Phantom Menace, Rogue Squadron, maybe hop around and do like a scrapbook full of the best Star Wars games of our childhood. Let me know what you would rather see. If it's like a challenge stream, try to beat one game, or just try to bounce around and give a bunch of nostalgia for fun Star Wars streams.
You're talking about the Skywalker Saga 9-movie game?
Either that or like the complete saga, because the original is so nostalgic for people. I would do either. Like I love both.
Okay.
The only other Star Wars thing I had, Sean Levy's Star Wars movie starring Ryan Gosling will be shooting next, apparently. Knock on wood. Fucking who knows? Set 5 years after the sequel trilogy, some of those characters may return. I would like to see those characters return. Like we don't need to just do away with everything. The Disney parks fucking exists. We have the characters there. Bring them back into the loop. Do it well. Do it with the Goss God, but do it well.
This just kind of takes me back to the Kathleen Kennedy stuff. Whoever takes over for her, whatever it may be, whether it's a year or 20 years from now, they need the first project they announce to happen. Because I don't think this is going to happen. I still don't think it. Like I am still in the place where it's like nothing here is actually going to happen. So I hope it does. I agree.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, you're right. It's not even worth really breaking down yet. Let's talk about things that did happen. Going over to DC news this past weekend, Colin Farrell won yet another award for the Penguin. Give it up for Colin Farrell. This time it was the SAG Award. Very good speech as well. He was thanking everyone just like he did for the Golden Globe. Such a fucking humble, wholesome guy. Kristen Milioti, unfortunately, robbed yet again. The SAG Awards off the list, out of the basement. Baby Reindeer once again beat Kristen Milioti. We're coming for that Emmy, though. I believe Baby Reindeer was nominated for last year's Emmys, so they can't be nominated for this year's Emmys. And it better not be fucking Jodie Foster for True Detective Night Country again. He also commented on doing a season 2. I thought his quote was very, very good. I thought this was the right mindset to have. He said, I would hate to, just because of a quote unquote success, have to go again and for it to be a diluted version of what people seem to feel it is. So I'm in no rush. I have no deep desire to do it. As much as we loved the Penguin and we would love a season 2, I think we agree that we really only want a season 2 if it could live up to the first season. So I think that's the right mindset to have, not just like, yeah, we got to do a season 2, write the script right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if I think there's enough shit going on in the Max universe that probably the bigwigs who are going to want those numbers and the critical acclaim aren't going to force it yet, but maybe down the road. They probably are doing it behind the scenes just from what I can gather how Hollywood works. But man, that season was so good. And it's going to be so hard to like, I mean, it's nice that you don't have to do the whole origin and, you know, kind of like start with the scratch and you build out the childhood and everything else. But man, it's so fucking good. You know what I watched the other day? I was like, I'm in the mood for that scene. I can't really put my finger on it because there are so many scenes that I think we all think of with the Penguin. And it was, Where Did You Sleep Last Night when she burns down the house. And I was like, I feel like this would have been like 1 or 2 for certain shows in terms of a season, in terms of scenes. But there's so many other scenes that like were so epic that went above it. And it just fucking, I rewatch it. It's haunting, man. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And they caught her on the red carpet again, being like, yeah, I want to team up with Zoe Kravitz really bad. We could fuck shit up together.
And if that doesn't happen in the Batman, maybe it happens in the Penguin season 2. So that could work. So I guess that's one way you can make it a really good season and you're not going back to the well. R.I.P. our dog. Oh, I forgot his name. What's our Vincent? Who's his buddy?
Yeah.
R.I.P. our
Vincent,
dog.
yeah.
That's tough. But man, that if Christina Milioti, Vic. Christina, now how do you say her last name right? I don't want to mess it up here.
Milioti, I think.
Milioti.
Milioti.
Oh man,
one or the other.
I'm gonna go on Twitter later. I'm gonna see if she has Twitter. I doubt she even checks her tweets if she even has one. I'm gonna say, if you win the Emmy, I need you to get on stage and say, this was a huge win. Give your love to the Penguin and say, everyone that watched How I Met Your Mother knows the alternate ending's the better ending of the two. And my career would have been remembered differently if they had actually nailed that ending instead of screwing it up the way they did, as well as the whole final season. So again, no one saw it. I said I was going to talk How I Met Your Mother after that first rant I had last year. I just had to let it out. That's our girl. We're riding for her. Invested in the Emmys for just her at that point.
And that's not, I don't think the Emmys is for a while. I think the Emmys is like maybe like September. I could be wrong about that.
Really?
It's a long ways away, I think. So my brother did give me the idea. He's like, you guys should just try to make a campaign to get her on the podcast. We could give her flowers and maybe mail her the first like basement award.
I like that.
It's a long shot. I know that's a pipe dream with someone like as not A-list, but as in demand in Hollywood right now as Kristen Milioti, nominated for fucking Golden Globes and shit. But who knows? Shoot for the stars. Shoot your shot.
The international Emmys are November. I don't think that's it. So primetime Emmys?
Yeah, primetime
Emmys.
I think so.
Oh my God.
Because that's the weird thing about the Emmys too, is they have like the JV Emmys that they give to like Jeff D. Lowe. No offense, but like Jeff D. Lowe isn't winning the Colin Farrell Emmys.
September 14th, 2025. So we're talking
football
season. Football season, guys. Oh.
More DC news. We got the first look at Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler as Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan in Lanterns. Just a picture of them walking along the street, but people, of course, zoomed in on the ring on Hal Jordan's finger, and they were like, oh shit, there's the Green Lantern ring. This is the show that was given a lot of True Detective comparisons. It's got a director from The Sopranos, a couple directors from House of the Dragon. Damon Lindelof is one of the brains behind it. I am really excited for this. They said it's designed to be accessible for people who don't know the mythology, but hopefully really satisfying for people that know it backwards and forwards. I'm excited. I don't know. I like the whole cast. I like everything I've heard about it. And I like that they're filming the projects that they announce.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Did you see our boy Jose? What he said about your tweet? He quote tweeted it.
Yes, he's very, very excited for this.
Yes, he said, let me see if I can pull it up here on the fly. Green Lantern has been and always will be a space cop. The GL Corp solving space mysteries is peak comic book lore. When Jose is speaking like that, you know he's breathing heavy just thinking about the different stories that have taken place. So the stories are there. We think the actors are there. It sounds like the directors could be there. Obviously, the big man in the big chair with Big Jimmy Gunn. Excitement, which is crazy to think how excited we are for DC. Remember when we were
for Green Lantern too. It's like not necessarily he's a Justice League member. All due respect to Green Lantern, but he's not a fucking A-list DC character. And we're fucking like, let's go. We're getting Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart on screen together. That's another thing. They're bringing like generations together because Jon Stewart is like, for my generation, he was the one in the Justice League cartoon. So that's like ours. Aaron Pierre is kind of like, that feels like our Green Lantern. But Clemmer texted me right away. I was like, oh my God, I love Kyle Chandler. Is he playing Hal Jordan? Like, I love some old Hal Jordan stories. So they're doing a good job with multiple generations coming together, multiple lanterns coming together, great casting. Damon Lindelof, I'll friggin' follow into fire at this point.
Yeah, that name carries an immense amount of weight. So to the casual comic fans like me who have never seen anything, I always was like, Green Lantern seems like he should be awesome. And he, like you said, he's in the Justice League. He's in the mix. He's a name that you hear of. But I've never seen any of the shows or the cartoons either because they just miss me or I heard bad reviews and stuff like that. And I feel like this, if they nail it, and again, I always go back with James Gunn when he made you care about the Guardians of the Galaxy. If we can nail it with a guy who has the kind of cachet and he's going to be a big part of the universe moving forward, man, that's just could be another huge win for DC. It does feel like it feels like there's a lot of DC parallels with the commies right now, right? It's like
with the Washington commies, by the way. If anyone's not a football fan, they must be like, "What the fuck?"
You know what? Let's go with Manders. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a kind of was bottom feeding for a while, had a lot of problems at the top that were causing all those issues. And after it's like last season, it's like, oh man, they got it together. And I feel like DC might be going on the same kind of run here. So hopefully,
Is
knock on
James Gunn JG5?
wood. But he hasn't never thought he'd be compared to that before.
No. He also confirmed that a Teen Titans movie is in the works. Another very nostalgic thing for, I think, kids my age because of that cartoon. Anna Noguera, who wrote the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow script, is developing this script. Starfire, a member of the Teen Titans, is getting her own animated series, as well as a Green Lantern animated series and a Superpowers school show. So it's a bunch of like young heroes, and Martian Manhunter is the principal. Sounds like it could be either like an adult comedy or a kid show, another cartoon. Here's my question for you, Clem. DC wants to release 2 live action movies a year, 2 live action shows a year, 2 animated series, and an animated movie every year. 7 projects. Is that too much, or is that along the path you think they should be going?
I mean, it's one project every 2 months, give or take, obviously, right? Because it's 7 and 12 months. I think that's
And a bunch of
attainable.
them are animated too. So I feel like
Yes.
that changes things. It's not like you have to watch The Adventures of Green Lantern and Starfire if you care about Superman and whatever.
And
But I do worry when I saw 7, I was like, ooh, and it said they're going to do this for 6 years.
it's like I don't want them to be like, all right, we need to get that 7th project in,
Yeah.
before December 31st, and it feels rushed. I don't know, man. It's like again, I'm kind of going in just optimistic. It's like after the Creature Command, it's like, damn, that was fucking really good, and they made me care, and that counts as their animation. It's like I don't think I think Marvel's success. Now that you mention it, I think maybe Marvel's success was kind of they were a victim of it because when they were putting stuff out, you felt like you had to watch it because you watched all the movies, and it's like, no, we should have just been skipping a lot more, and some of the stuff probably wasn't for us. And I think even by the end, we were just like, all right, we're not going to cover this one, every single minute.
I think for Echo, didn't we say we were like, we're doing one episode for Echo? We're watching the whole series. We're doing one episode.
And that took a few years for us to finally get to that place, right? So, and a whole bunch of shows.
God, I wish we got to that place for Secret Invasion because we spent the first few episodes being like, I don't know, Ben Mendelsohn's good, right? Like Samuel Jackson, like this is going to pay off, right? Like they're definitely going to, let's give it time. Let's wait for the finale. And then Drax arm.
Dude, I saw the actor who played the bad guy. I forgot his name.
Oh, it was like Kingsley Benadir. It was like Ben Kingsley, but not Ben Kingsley.
Yes, exactly. The guy who plays Bob Marley in the Bob Marley movie.
And he was great too.
Yeah, he was awesome. And I saw a clip. It was just a quick clip of him when someone was just saying everything that's wrong with Marvel, basically. And I was like, man, that guy was good. He got fucked as like he was even like not even a bad character. It's just he was in a bad show. So it was a bummer. So again, there's a chance DC does go that route, and we're looking back in 2028 and being like, man, we should have just been a lot more skeptical about 7 in 12 months. But again, it goes to the top. I have faith in whoever the Manders owner is. It's like it starts at the top there and goes down, and you kind of have faith with everyone along the way.
He also said that they're going to put out 4 seasonal Crypto the Superdog shorts to keep Crypto in everyone's like mind. I think to keep Superman in everyone's mind as well. And it'll be the same Crypto that appears in the movie. I love the idea of this. I almost like if they would put this before like whatever the next movie is, Supergirl or whatever, give us a little Crypto short before the movie like Pixar.
I was going to say those Pixar shorts, they always hit for me.
And the I Am Groot ones were great too.
Yeah.
I think he was involved in those, or were they like the first thing he wasn't involved in?
I was trying to figure that out because I was like, this feels very I Am Grootish, which obviously he has a connection to Groot. So I was wondering maybe that inspired him, even though he wasn't a part of it, wanted to be a part of it.
Because those were great. They were 5 minutes a piece, or not even 2 minutes a piece, but I really got a kick out of all of them.
And you're not going to have a, 5,000 word hit piece against how bad it was or rushed it was. You would hope not, at least. I think we would not do that. And listen, if you can't just be happy with a dog, it's for kids in the end, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Some things that are on the docket but not going well for DC. James Gunn said Waller, they haven't cracked the scripts yet. Booster Gold, a showrunner, almost joined but lost interest. And The Authority, the script had a harder time coming along. 3 things where I kind of feel how I felt about the Taika Waititi stuff, where I'm like, all right, Amanda Waller, her own series. I mean, great actress, great character, but I don't know if she needs her own series. Booster Gold, another beloved character from the comics, but a more obscure James Gunn feeling one that doesn't need to be here right away on the first slate. And the Authority, who I believe will appear in the Superman movie, they wanted to spin him off here. 3 things that if you're having a really hard time coming up with the script or showrunner, don't force them. They better be really fucking good for any of these 3 things to go get greenlit and into production and whatnot. So I just feel about all 3 of those things. If they get canceled, I wouldn't be upset whatsoever. If they get greenlit, I'd be a little trepidatious based on how many issues they've had.
The Waller stuff could be cool if it's not just, I mean, she would clearly be the center of the show, but it's just everything she touches, because I feel like she can go around the DC universe. That could be cool. I think if you just stick her into one story or one thing, I think it could get boring. I don't know. Again, trust the gun for sure.
Viola Davis is also like one of those actresses where if you give her the right script, she could put up like a Colin Farrell type Penguin performance.
1,000%. Was the showrunner Taika Waititi? Is there, because he lost interest in it? I'm telling you, Taika. I have a bad taste in my mouth with Taika Waititi right now.
I do too. I hate to say it because he fucking made Ragnarok. He brought fucking Guns N' Roses and Led Zeppelin into Thor. Mm-hmm. He brought Korg into the MCU.
Stop bringing up Korg. That's not fair. He's so fucking awesome.
I just read Planet Hulk, by the way. Shout out Jake Bass lent me Planet Hulk. So I read the whole fucking comic. And they took so much for Ragnarok, but in such a cool way. You could see where Korg and Meat come from. Korg in the comics, how about this? He fucking has like a weird dinosaur looking head, and he's like yellowish orange. Which I assume they were like, hey, the Thing is yellowish orange and he's made of rocks, so let's change Korg for the movie. Yeah, good move. I think Korg blue actually looks better. But yeah, that surprised me. Planet Hulk, if you're looking for a Marvel comic to read, anyone listening, I would recommend. Very good. Silver Surfer's fucking involved. It's like Ragnarok, but like different and on steroids in a way. And Thor's not in it, obviously.
It's funny. AJ I showed him the Fantastic Four trailer. He goes, isn't that Thor's friend, but a different color? Because he saw Thing.
Yep.
So I was like, nope, different dude. I was like,
made of rocks.
You're going to like this guy. I don't know if he's going to like him more, because like Korg is so like fun, but he is just little parts, where I think Thing, he's going to really just like this guy.
Well, Thing fucking like smashes more than Korg too. I feel
he's
like
a Mets fan too, which I love. He's gonna love.
Oh, true. Yeah. And then the only other DC thing I had, Jeremy Allen White, who is rumored to be taking on this Sergeant Rock role from Daniel Craig, reportedly turned down the role. So
we lost another one.
The hunt. Yeah, they're still on the hunt for that one.
After we tried to build him up and being like, all right, like I could see
maybe he just is holding out for Marvel. He wants to be with Cousin.
Yeah, that would be cool. Who could he be? Who can he be with? Who's like a character that's open, that's close with the Thing?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not as well read enough. If we had Jose on the show, he'd be like, oh, obviously, the Thing's cousin Thorg. Or, it'd be
a 20-minute thing about this like comic arc that was the greatest ever. It would be such.
Yeah, Jose would reach behind him, pull a book out of a shelf, and be like, "You guys don't understand the first printing."
Page 127. It's one of the greatest pages I've ever read.
We got to get him back on soon. I'm sure. So I talked to him about Daredevil. He watched, this is so classic Jose. He watched Daredevil season 1, loved it. He was really pissed off by the portrayal of Elektra and Daredevil's mentor Stick in season 2, so he was out. He stopped watching it. He was out. But then I tried to get him back in by texting him like, dude, season 3 was fucking good. Because another confusing thing about Daredevil, they did the Daredevil Born Again comic in season 3. Daredevil Born Again will not be the Daredevil Born Again comic. They're just using the name as a pun. Because they brought the show back and whatnot. So I was texting him like, dude, they did fucking Born Again. You got to check this out. He was like, all right, I might have to check out the new show. So I'd love to get him on the show to get his Daredevil thoughts after watching Born Again.
If my boy Jose Young says nothing else, he has principles. And if he doesn't like the way they do one of his characters or
I appreciate that. He could just cut it off. He's out. I don't have that willpower. I'm like, I have to finish it. I just have to see it through.
I feel like Jose cuts it off mid-season. Like season 2, episode 4, he was like, I was out. Once Elektra said this line that she would have never said in the books.
Yeah, the guy's the best. Speaking of Marvel, Daredevil Born Again obviously hits Disney Plus on Tuesday with a 2-episode premiere, and they're already filming season 2 with the goal to have a new season every year. Another thing that I feel like is a huge green flag for a Marvel show, and we don't usually get those, where they're like, let's fucking crank this out because we got something here. And it took a little bit for them to have something. The early word was like, it's not going to match the tone of the original series. It's not going to have Foggy and Karen as 2 best friends, the 2 main characters other than him. And it's going to be like a bit of a comedy. They started filming it, and I think the creatives were like, we need to go back and film everything over again and make it match the original. So I'm really, really, really excited about this.
I'm going in with this is the post late 22 or 23, I guess, MCU. All the others, like, this is being filmed fresh. So I'm giving it, like, I feel like they've hit the reset button and are going in with the right frame of mind. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the season 1 coming and the fact they're already rolling to season 2. I feel like they have something. I do get worried when they start setting, like, again, Marvel has reached a point where it's like when they're setting once a year ultimatums on them. I'm like, oh, guys, let's just take our time with it. But again,
I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was ultimatum, but they said the goal is one a year.
The goal. Okay.
Yeah.
New MCU, new.
They said that about the Spider-Man show as well. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which we'll get your thoughts on in a bit because Clem actually watched the entire series. The Punisher, who will also appear in Daredevil Born Again, will get his own special presentation, something we've been asking for way more of from Marvel. And John Bernthal will actually co-write it as well. It'll be directed by Reynaldo Marcus Green, who directed King Richard, Oscar-nominated, winning movie. Really cool. And again, yes, more special presentations. Punisher is a guy who obviously he had 2 seasons of a Netflix show. He could carry his own series with John Bernthal. But do we need an entire Punisher series right now? I don't know. If you just make a one-off story that's metal as fuck, has Punisher drilling through people's heads and coming for revenge, I'm there for it. Do more of these, please.
Yes, I do not. I love the special presentations. Again, I just watched, thinking of the HBO special presentation graphics and the song. It was fucking 10 out of 10 for all the olds like me who remember that when it was going live. But like, yeah, Werewolf by Night shouldn't be our ceiling in terms of characters for the special presentation. Punisher, you could even go higher than Punisher, I'd say, and I'd be fine with it. When there's
I've said Ghost Rider, I've said, Silver Surfer. You could take these big characters and do it. There's so many X-Men you could do this with.
Oh, so many X-Men, so many just Marvel characters. Look at the toy chest. Whole bunch of things in the toy chest. Not everything needs to be the epic fight that you're making into a movie or a TV show. It could be a special presentation. So again, good work, Marvel. And as someone that didn't get to see this whole Punisher run, I'm excited to see what it's going to be. And again, that one, you got to be gory with the Punisher. You got to be gory with the Punisher.
Oh yeah, and dude, the Punisher has this fight scene not breaking out of prison, but he kills someone in prison, then has to fight the guards and the prisoners and stuff.
Yep.
And it's a one-take hallway fight scene. He's covered in blood by the end, face to toe blood. So metal. It's so good. John Bernthal's The Punisher is fucking amazing. Now, something that's not so amazing. We learned a little bit more about the post-credit scene in Captain America Brave New World, and it put my mind in an absolute blender, Clem. We watch it with spoilers, post-credit scene, Brave New World. If you haven't seen it, we're going to talk about it briefly, but really, I don't think you're going to be upset about anything spoiled here. The leader in the raft says to Sam Wilson, there's others coming, others from different worlds that you don't know about yet. And we were all kind of like, whatever, he knows about fucking other worlds. They now came out and said that was the Illuminati being referenced. The Illuminati from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness were originally going to be in this movie in a draft, but then they just left it intentionally vague for a reason in the post-credit scene. I never in a million years thought they were referencing the Illuminati. And I guess it's not a bad thing. I'm not pissed off that they were referencing the Illuminati, but it reminds me of the week after Captain America Brave New World came out. They were like, oh yeah, that character Sam Wilson fights in the first scene was using adamantium knives and he was a character from the comic. You're over explaining things that were not in the movie. You're just after the fact, you're telling us these things. I kind of like the idea of the Illuminati coming back in Doomsday and Secret Wars and playing a factor, maybe that Doom is from their world or Fantastic Four. I don't know. I'm not opposed to that, but just piss me off them coming out and being like, actually, it was the Illuminati being referenced. No, it fucking was. It was so vague. It was nobody.
First of all, when I had heard this news, I thought it was there until the very end, until right before they filmed, but it sounded like it was an early version of the script, right? Because if it wasn't, I would have been very upset. I was ready to write a blog on it until I read that it was early in the script. I think Marvel needs to make good with their fans. Because listen, they have had a ton of fucking missteps the last few years. They need to shoot this scene and you scan a picture of your ticket stub or your phone receipt or confirmation, and then you get that scene sent to you. That's what I think should happen.
Yeah.
They need to make right. Because that post-credit scene, as I brought up again last week, it might be the most egregious part of the entire movie when it's all
It
said and done.
sucked, dude. And as I was making my Daredevil video, I thought Echo had a better post-credit scene than this shit. When Kingpin's on the jet and they're talking about the mayor of New York and he just leans forward, it was so simple. He doesn't have to say a word, but it was like, oh shit, Kingpin's going to be the mayor of New York. Like, it immediately hits you in the brain. For that one to be like, there's others coming. It's like, well, we don't even have anything to be excited about then because we don't know who's coming.
Even if it, and again, you don't have to have the Illuminati just like talking, whatever. Just have a quick glimpse of them. Even the shadows where you can figure out who a few
Got
of
the
them
one
are.
of them. One of them. Just one.
Just one.
Just one. And then the only other Marvel news I had, Brad Winderbaum, a big exec at Marvel, said they're actively developing an X-Men movie, though there were TV show rumors. There were rumors that maybe they're doing a TV show X-Men right now. I want to know, for you as an X-Men fan, we've talked about this with Jose and about how perfect, an X-Men TV series would be. But as the X-Men's introduction to the MCU, if it were to be a 10 out of 10, would you rather it be a movie or a series?
It's going to be a 10 out of 10. Ooh. I'm fine with either. I'm honestly fine with either because I feel like it's like, because you have so many characters, and I don't know how they're going to do if they're going to go into the full blown origin story of different timelines, obviously, when young Xavier, old Xavier, and who you're going to use as the team. I'd be fine, I feel like, to flesh it out more in 10 episodes instead of 2.5 hours. And listen, we got to stop at the 3 hours. We got to stop 2:45.
Yeah.
I could live with it for an X-Men movie or like a fucking
Clem
Avengers.
will not be seeing The Brutalist.
Yes. How long is The Brutalist? I don't even know.
You don't even know, dude. This is like the one nominated for Best Picture. They think it might win Best Picture. 3.5 hours with a 15-minute intermission.
Those motherfuckers couldn't watch Dune 2, yet they watched that.
I know.
That's
crazy.
My guy Chalamet is going to lose because
that was the other thing. The Oscar voters this week, they're all coming out with quotes. I don't know who these voters are, but they're all setting themselves up for like disaster. One of them was like, yeah, I didn't vote for Ray Fiennes because he already won for Schindler's List. So I voted for Adrian Brody. And everyone was like, well, Ray Fiennes didn't win for Schindler's List and Brody won for The Pianist. So what are we talking about here? But I am, of course, pulling for Timmy Chalamet.
Do you think that these are like NBA Centel accounts that are just fake and they're just making them up?
Maybe.
Or it's like to the point when the idiot MLB voters started like talking and people were like, we have to make your votes public because this is fucking terrible for us. Making us look
we
like
should make the votes public. For the Oscars, they should make the votes public. Because the people that are like, I can't make it through Dune 2. What are you talking about? You can't make it through Dune 2. You shouldn't have a vote then. Exactly. Yeah. Crazy.
People say to us, they go, Clem, you got to watch every single Daredevil, every single this, every single that. It's job. I said, no, this is one of my jobs at Barstool. I have other things I do here. Those motherfuckers who vote for it, if I was a voter for, I guess, comic book shows of the year, then I would watch Daredevil. I am not watching it because that's not my only job here. Those motherfuckers, that is their number one job as an Oscar voter.
It's crazy. Timothy Chalamet, though, did win the SAG Award, which was unexpected. So people think maybe he can creep up on Adrian Brody, Brody, right?
And let me be clear. Chalamet's my guy. That's why I'm voting for him or rooting for him. It sounds like Brody fucking crushes it. So I don't even.
It does sound like he crushes it. Like, and I also like him in The Pianist and shit. Like, I think he's a great actor. He's fucking good in Peter Jackson's King Kong, even. So yeah, I wouldn't be pissed if he won, but Chalamet's speech at the SAG Awards was so good. He's like, I'm in the pursuit of greatness. Like, he locked in for that fucking speech. And if he wins at the Oscars, he would be the youngest actor to ever win that award. And it's his last year eligible for being the youngest actor to ever win it, because Adrian Brody himself, when he won for Pianist, was just a few months older than Chalamet is now.
That's incredible.
It's a good narrative going in.
Kind of the way we got onto this whole Brutalist thing, though. What's your thoughts on this X-Men if it was show versus movie?
I go back and forth because I think as a viewer, I would probably like them to flesh the X-Men out more in show form. If we had something the quality of X-Men 97 in live action, like even better, that would make me like so happy, blown away. But at the same time, I think Marvel needs a fucking 10 out of 10 movie right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like a movie would, I think, mean more to the widespread casual audience of Marvel is back. And is that so important for the casual fan to think Marvel's back? No. but am I fucking sick of this narrative that every single project is make or break? The MCU's dead, the MCU's back, the MCU's dead, the MCU's back. We joke about it all the time here, and I love doing the thumbnails. MCU back. But it's like, it is exhausting when everyone, like people are talking about the Thunderbolts. You think this is it for Marvel? Like, no, I don't think this is it for Marvel, because the Fantastic Four is a few months later and Daredevil Born Again season 2 will be next. It's like, at this point, we have so much variety, and I know that's maybe not for the best because it's watered down the material, but I'm just tired of the MCU is dead after every project.
It's like a different case for like the dunk contests, the home run derby, the all-star games, all that kind of shit. It's dead. The NBA in general, the ratings are down. It's dead. It's exhausting. At some point, it's like, watch, don't watch, just shut the fuck up about it. And, and then you're gonna have the people who are gonna have the takes about, it's woke culture, all that. You just have all this other nonsense.
I know.
At the core of it, if they just put out bangers, everyone will just shut up and just go about their business and be very happy. What about this, Bob? I thought about this as you were saying that. Either we start with a movie because you said the movie's so important, knowing that it's going to roll into a 10-episode show, or vice versa. 10-episode show with a movie as kind of the Avenger hammer at the end.
I would probably prefer it that way, personally. Yeah? Okay. Make us really, like, imagine we told you right now they filmed a fucking Penguin movie to cap off that series. And like, that would be like, what? After we learned about those characters so much, we care about them so much already, going into a movie like with the backstory of a character like Sophia Gigante, like something like, if you were to have an X-Men character that you wrote as well as her in that show, and then you drop a movie on our heads, it'd be fucking awesome.
Bob, how about this? I just thought of this. Ooh, I'm tingly thinking about it, because you see my little comic book there, X-Men 1, the old Jim Lee.
Jim Lee.
That's the one that turned me into a comic book fan right there. What if we kind of do what they did in the Bear season 3? And Bear season 3, I know it's like a curse word to some people, but you do the individual episodes or was that season 2? Anyway, doesn't matter. It's like you get the Charles Xavier episode, you get the Magneto episode, the Wolverine episode, and then by episode 8 or so, you have everyone done. 9, 10, get them together, and then boom, movie, entire story has been set. Now it needs to be good. It needs to be good. Doesn't need to be great. And listen, those are two very different words. We've talked about it in the base before. It needs to be at least good. But man, if you can pull that off, whew, mama. And then you're cooking with gas. And then Marvel can almost become X-Men in people's minds. And then all the other franchises can kind of get their bearings and let X-Men carry it for a year or two. But man, that could be magic right there.
It could be. All right, let me get your thoughts on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man now after finishing the series. I was surprised. You texted me like, oh, I'm watching it, liking it. And just a few days later, you were like, I'm done. So you must have liked it to continue that quickly.
Yep. So full disclosure here. I started it because AJ was sick and I just needed him to watch something that wouldn't ask him to watch YouTube or use his iPad. So, dude, I can't do much with you because you're sick and it's cold outside. And I just turned on, didn't even ask him. And he kind of got into it. But I'll be honest, by like episode 3, he's like, all right, I'm going to go do little kid things now. And I was like, too bad for you, asshole, because I'm into this. It was good. It was a good show. I went and once I knew I was jumping ahead of you, I'm like, I don't even have the Robbie Fox, like the like graded on a curve review. Yep. I'm just going in by myself. And I'll tell you, it's cool. It's him in this universe. And this is something that I realized the other Marvel properties need to do more of. And they don't bash you over the head with it by any means, but I think some of the other properties need to do it. They have, occasionally Doctor Strange pops in. Daredevil shows up for a couple episodes, like a scene or two, not the entire episode.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing that more? It happens in the comic books. And so some of these characters, they're just relying on these characters to carry their whole shows and franchises by themselves. Are you crazy? And the Spider-Man, he's one guy who could be like, listen, I'm going to roll the typical villains out there. And that's the thing, you're not even getting like all the A+ villains. I don't want to spoil the show, because there's some twists, and it's a lot of people have compared it to almost like a what if, where it changes a couple of the rules of the franchise change, and it's like, sweet, like I can get down with that. It's just a little one-off animation, and I do think that like DC might do this and Marvel can do this, where not everything has to be combined and it's all part of one cinematic universe and all the universes are together. I don't know, man. I just had a good ass time, and I would be like, I need like a half hour to burn. What could I do? I'm like, let me throw on a Spider-Man, and the characters, they're good. They they give you reasons for why villains are villains. They give you reasons for why they do what they do. So you're not just feeling, they have like really good people who are mixed up in bad spots. And I don't even know some of these. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy. So the Scorpion was in. I didn't know he was a
You
big
didn't know
deal.
Scorpion?
I didn't know Scorpion very much, and they made it very New York City, very realistic to New York City.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I don't know who the hell Tombstone is. You learn about Tombstone's
Oh,
origin.
dude, they're great. Tombstone and Scorpion, like especially in the video games, are great. In the cartoons, Scorpion they teased in the post-credit scene of Homecoming. He's like one of the prisoners that Michael Keaton talks to. But they like haven't followed up on that. I think Sony probably made him tease that, and they were like, "We're gonna do a Scorpion movie where he gets bit by a radioactive scorpion one day." No, that ain't happening. But
Yeah.
overall, how would you grade it on the ball scale?
Ball scale, I'm gonna
Season
say 3.75, which is
Pretty
good.
good for an animated show, yeah. Especially
Pretty-
not like an adult animated show like Invincible, which we're about to get into, but pretty good score.
I thought that the again the animation, like I didn't love it, but it's like it's perfectly fine for what it is.
Did you get used to it more as it went along? Do you feel like?
Yes. Oh,
the
definitely.
animation?
Definitely. And the way that they kind of own it. And you're like, oh, they're doing a good job with what they have. And then it's like, I don't know if it's like 25. I think it's usually 25 to 35 minutes. Like, I think that is the sweet spot. I think we
Yeah.
lost our ways with these hour-long shows. And I think having it there is absolutely perfect. And I really do like recommend everyone just give like the first episode a shot. And I do think it'll grow on you. The Osborns are there. You have Aunt May. I think the Uncle Ben. You discussed this on a previous episode. Uncle Ben's already dead, so we don't have to watch him die yet again.
Thank God.
And there are some good twists. And I believe we talked about it last week, right? That there's already been season 2 has been greenlit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be out next year. That's the goal. Again, it's like goals. They're setting goals.
Yeah. Again, like if their goal is one Spider-Man a year, one Daredevil a year, so it's like, well, then at some point it's be one X-Men a year. We don't need to hit those goals, Marvel. I'm just letting you know as fans.
And X-Men, they already said, is 2026, which people are like, oh, killing all momentum. That guy, Rob Liefeld, who Jose hates, the Deadpool guy, is like, Marvel's dead, killing all momentum. He's going in on them every step now. Yeah. But yeah, there's your recommendation for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And now let's talk about Invincible episode 6, which dropped yesterday. I thought a very good, more straightforward episode of Invincible. It's good to get these thrown in there every now and then, not dealing with Viltrumites and the entire Guardians. And it's just kind of a grounded superhero story. Aaron Paul's character's thrown into the mix. He's looking for revenge over Mark because of the Omni-Man fight and whatnot. They do the memorial thing. You said they do a good job of making your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man look like New York. My big takeaway from this episode, one of them, was they did such a good job of making a city feel like a city.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it really looks like it. It feels like the memorial, the way people act in it, the way the cars are driving in it. It's like, this is really good. I thought it was a really good one. And another big takeaway was the title sequence, which they nail a lot. I loved in this one when he's yelling, I want Invincible. And I want Invincible. And this is because of Invincible. It was great.
That was one of my big takeaways. That was one of my highlights of the episode. Okay, so I'm trying to phrase this correctly. So Aaron Paul's character, the backstory and the way they set that all up, and it starts with them, and they're this happy little, family, and then obviously all the tragedy strikes, and then his whole reason for revenge. I love the way they set that up. I thought that was so fucking cool, and it kind of makes you realize like how these superheroes can be super villains in some people's eyes for stuff that they didn't even know they did.
Yeah.
I just didn't love the character himself. I don't know what it was, but it's like, and I also understood like he's super powerful, and it's kind of like Black Panther's suit, right? The more you hit him, the stronger.
Exactly what I thought. Yeah, it's like the vibranium.
Yes, the tragic ending I thought was like a really well done. That was very smart. But basically everything between the origin story and the ending, I just like he didn't grab me as much as I thought he was going to for someone who had such a good deep story. And Aaron Paul's voice just sounded a little weird. Am I wrong to say that?
I almost felt like Aaron Paul was trying to not sound like Aaron Paul.
Yes.
I felt like when he's yelling too, I was like, he's trying not to sound like Jesse Pinkman right now, which like, I thought the exact same thing. And I think that's actually a good take because his origin was amazing with the niece and the sister and stuff. And I even liked when he's like trying to build himself up, build up the courage at the top of a building. Like in the beginning, it seems like he could just make the powers with his hands or whatever. He tells his niece. And then he's like, I need to jump off a fucking building right now. Like, all of that was interesting. From there, he's an obstacle for Mark and Eve, and kind of a test of restraint because you can't hit him. And I really, really appreciated how Eve took, I don't know, a minute to download that information into her brain and be like, yeah, I know I can't hit you, you fucking idiot. You're getting stronger. And she just shuts him down right away. It was like so refreshing to be like, all right, yeah, this is an established superhero who we've known for 3 seasons now, going up against someone who's trying to be a superhero for the first day. It's not going to be a fight.
Yeah, and that's how it would be. It would be if you try to play
Yes.
like an NBA player, he would do things, be like, I didn't even know you could steal a ball from me that way, right? It's just different levels of stuff. There was like 3 different times where I guess it makes sense now because apparently Aaron Paul was trying not to sound like Jesse Pinkman. I thought he was going to say, because Mark just, he could never pin down Invincible. I thought he was going to say, can't keep getting away with this. And we were gonna get the infamous line. I was like waiting for it 3 different times.
That would have been good
during that episode.
I like the shapeshift stuff too. When he shows up at first, he wants Mark, and then shapeshift shows up, and he fucking destroys him or whatever. Nobody knows who shapeshift is, and then the cop is like, he just killed one of the Guardians.
that was
like shapeshift.
that was great. Other stuff from the episode, stuff with like the girl that turns into the monster and how
Amanda, was it? Rudy like cures
her
de-aging thing. Yeah. Kind of like a wholesome style scene. She's just like really happy about that. It's nice.
But I do think the oh shit moment was the little post credits that they did where you realize the person spying on Mark is I don't know his name, the dude with the big brain that travels.
I know, I'm bad at the names too. But the Markiverse is coming.
Oh, the Markiverse is coming. And I cannot fathom how he has an absolute snowball's chance in hell against that crew. So
yeah,
it's pretty fucking incredible. Maybe Oliver being like kind of the version of him, because he seems like he's going to be the evil one. I also think I'm turning evil, which with Aaron Paul's character, I'm like, just take him into space. He'll die once he goes into space. You can breathe in space. That motherfucker can't breathe in space. That's the only evil thing.
Mark is like, let me reason with you. I don't want to hurt you. You're like, fucking suffocate him in the vacuum of space. Send him into a black hole. The only other thing I had was Paul being the father who stepped up and just being so worried and nervous around the superheroes. He's like, if we're going to teleport, I don't know if I'm ready for that. They're like, no, don't worry. We're taking the car. It's fucking, I'm flying the car. I thought that was a good awesome. Reverse the trope. Good episode, though. Not my favorite of the season or anything, but another one where the whole time I was there for it, and I'm excited for the future of this season.
So we have how many episodes left?
I actually don't know. It's a good question. It feels like it's ramping up. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 8 or 10.
So let's see right here. I'm on season 3. So we have 2 more left.
It's 8. Okay, yeah. That doesn't shock me.
I feel like, we're going to have some shit coming up here. This one got a 9.1 on IMDb. I'm surprised it's that high. I feel
this
like
episode?
Yes. Next one. All right. Spoilers for anyone who doesn't want to just 5 seconds, just cover yours. The next episode, the description is Earth's greatest heroes join forces to fight an unimaginable threat. I feel like that's a bunch of marks coming to fuck shit up.
It's got to be a bunch of marks, right? It has to be.
So I'm excited about 7 and 8. I'm very excited about, and this is something they teased like last season, right? And it just never came to fruition. And I think that's kind of part of the reason I think we felt let down, along with the gap. I feel like we are cooking with gas, and I think there's a reason why the comic producers are like, guys, you don't know what you're in for. Buckle the fuck up.
I can't wait, and I can't wait for Daredevil Born Again on Tuesday. 2-episode premiere. Don't forget to check out the Everything You Need to Know Before Daredevil Born Again video on the channel or on my Twitter, wherever you want to watch it. Just share it. Do me a favor. Give it a little thumbs up. Do whatever you can to help out.
When will that be up, Bob? When will that be up?
It'll be up at 3 p.m. on Friday, so the odds are, if you're listening to the podcast, it's up. Unless you're listening to the podcast like the second it released, which if you are, appreciate you. That's like real day one shit. But the odds are it's on the channel now.
Okay, cool. So check it out there. Again, thumbs up. Hit some comments into. Let's try
send it to your buddy. You know, if you know somebody that's going to be watching the series, just send them over the link and be like, hey, check this out. Build the hype up a little bit. Because I tried to build the hype a little bit. I tried to be funny a little bit. You know, I'm trying.
Support the Basement Boys.
Do we got a hashtag to end the episode with this week?
It's not cum trees. We're not doing cum trees, huh?
We're not doing cum trees. You can't do maybe no Taika allowed.
No Taikas allowed. I like that.
No Taikas allowed. All right. We will talk to you next week. I assume maybe an earlier episode next week to recap Daredevil. Maybe we'll do one on Wednesday. Does that work?
Yeah. If so it comes out Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday right until So let's roll with that. We'll try to get it fresh on Wednesday, and based on the reviews, we're going to be dying to talk about it.
I can't wait. See you then.